Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to our midweek Oasis service here at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. It is Wednesday, October 4th, and we've been having fun during the social time, and we're just going to carry that joy right into our service as we play with Paradox this month. Oops, I told you a little secret. I jumped the script, or jumped the shark in this case. But anyways, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Paul Pursuti, and I'll be your host tonight. I welcome you to our midweek Oasis Wednesday night service. As you'll be able to experience tonight, our Wednesday night Oasis is a place where we come together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. Most Wednesday night services build upon the theme of the previous Sunday, sharing in a satsang style, expressing science of mind principles and practices with the intention that these gatherings be informal, intimate, and interactive, and especially joyful tonight. Our annual theme for 2023 is Living Out Loud. Our monthly theme for October is Playing with Paradox. Last Sunday, Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman introduced ideas inspired by the talk title of The Paradox Mindset. And tonight, our speaker will continue the exploration of this same topic. So as we gather tonight, I really want to welcome you. I want to extend an invitation, just as Reverend Sunshine did when she first came to the center. And she invited us to come to the center well. And I'm asking you to do that as well tonight for our Wednesday night service. She shared with us these 6 C's for us to consider and to incorporate. Come with a heart of love and tenderness. She calls that compassion. Come ready to exchange openly, and we call that communication. Come in friendship and family, camaraderie. Come in harmony and ready to share, communion. Come in partnership and cooperation. She calls that collaboration. And finally, come in spiritual awareness and truth. I breathe this in, consciousness. So as we move into our program tonight, these 6 C's are the premise of sharing a wonderful evening with you tonight. Now, if you're new to our community, joining us for the first time in Zoom or watching us on our YouTube channel, please visit our homepage at www.oaklandcsl.org and click on the I'm New icon and look at the lower left-hand corner of that page to submit your email address. Once you do, you'll begin receiving the Village News newsletter once a week in your email. It has all the information on what is happening at the center in the coming weeks. So we have a couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. We ask that you mute your own audio microphone if you're attending during tonight's service. When you mute your audio microphone, it will improve the quality of our recording and tonight's transmission. You are welcome to leave your camera on. Please stay tuned through the end of the service to receive special and important announcements. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker tonight. She's been a practitioner with our center for 13 years. She currently serves all of us as our administrator at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. She's an intentional creativity teacher, and supporting her tonight is her family, who may make an appearance during the presentation, Freeway and Sister. So don't be surprised if you see a critter crawling across the screen. They're family. As we do with every organized event at the center, we open with prayer. Constance, will you be doing the honors this evening?
I'm going to ask Maureen French to do that for us because she is such an incredible spirit and consciousness.
Excellent. Thank you.
Hello. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath and connect with that one power, that one presence, that grounds us right where we are. This power and presence is this love and this creative force that brings us together tonight in this oasis of spirit as we connect with each other, as we listen to Constance's wisdom, blessing her as spirit moves through her, as she brings herself, her unique expression to this time together. And our hearts are open, our ears are wide, our eyes see love, peace, and joy. I bless our time together as we talk about communing with spirit and how we can best do that in our expression right here and right now. And so it is.
So it is. So tonight we're going to talk about the paradox mindset. And I just want to start with this, that paradox is where God lives. I first heard that about 15 years ago from a teacher of mine in women's spirituality, and it just really grabbed hold of me. You ever heard something that you just grabs you like that? And I think the reason it grabbed me because I didn't really understand it, but I had the sense that there was something really important there, and it really intrigued me. The idea of paradox really tickles me in my inner rebellious free spirit. As a child, I was taught to categorize, compare, and contrast. I learned about good and evil, right and wrong. And I saw that happiness didn't always seem to follow that thinking. So when I ran across something like this statement that started to dismantle what I felt of as rigid thinking, it grabbed me. As Reverend Sunshine told us on Sunday, paradoxes are those situations or statements that seem self-contradictory, illogical, or impossible, yet they often hold profound truths when examined more closely. As an adult, I learned that this idea of paradox is much more accepted in Eastern cultures. So if you think of yin and yang, masculine and feminine that we get from some of the Eastern cultures. So I want to start tonight by reading to you the first verse of the Tao. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The Tao is both named and nameless. As nameless, it is the origin of all things. As named, it is the mother of 10,000 things. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one only sees the manifestation. And mystery itself is a doorway to all understanding. That's a lot, so I'm going to read it one more time, just because I don't have it in the chat. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The Tao is both named and nameless. As nameless, it is the origin of all things. As named, it is the mother of 10,000 things. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one only sees the manifestations. And mystery itself is the doorway to all understanding. What a beautiful piece of poetry and wisdom that is. And we are humans, and humans have desires. In the verse above, we're advised that letting go of trying to see the mystery actually allows us to see it. One way we can do this is by practicing paradoxical thinking. By recognizing that desiring, wanting, and desireless, allowing, are different and the same thing. Let me give you an example right from Oakland Center. And I want to talk about that beautiful garden we have that Margot started with an idea. She wanted a beautiful garden at Oakland Center, and she recruited some help, and she worked the soil and put in plants. Then she had to let go and allow them to grow. She couldn't make them grow. All she could do was provide the soil, water, and space and let them find their own way. So she had a desire, and and the only way it was going to come into being was if she allowed it to happen. And this is what we do in affirmative prayer. We start with a desire, a wanting for something to be different from what it is. And if we stay there, we keep wanting and wanting, nothing changes, except perhaps we get a little more miserable. In prayer, we surrender. We talk ourselves into the knowing of the mystery, of the oneness, the goodness of life. We know it, we feel it, and when we're there, and from that place, we state the desire and then let it go, knowing that the unknowable is doing that mysterious thing called the law. When we're learning a new skill, be it a prayer or playing the piano, we start by trying. Think of a child first learning to walk. The child starts by holding onto a chair or sofa and making tentative steps while holding on. The child falls down, gets back up and tries again. Then one day the child is actually walking. One day it just all of a sudden it's from this awkward stage of tentativeness and falling, and then all of a sudden that child is running and you have to chase them to find them. So trying and doing are the same and as they are the same and different. So one thing we can do is to pay attention in your body where you are on a continuum of trying and doing, allowing, of where you are on the continuum of desiring and allowing. So become aware of the different feeling in your body of that first sense of wanting, of desiring, of trying, and the effortless feeling of allowing. The 4 stages of learning developed in the 1970s say this on another level. They say that we start out with unconscious incompetency. We're not even desiring. So it's like, if you take the example of prayer, it's like when I had never prayed, I didn't really understand prayer at all. So I was totally unconsciously incompetent when I first came to Oakland Center. And then we move into a stage of conscious incompetence, desire to know how to do something, and starting to learn some of the skills. But certainly for me, when I first started to understand that prayer was something that was powerful and something, I couldn't see myself do that, and certainly not out loud. And then we move into a stage of conscious competence. So for me, that involved writing it out and then speaking it. So I could write it a lot easier than I could speak it at that point. And then unconscious competence, allowing. And so now when I pray, it's not actually me that's doing the praying. I'm just allowing the prayer to show up. So desiring is the ground and the beginning of desirelessness. So desiring is the ground and the beginning of desirelessness, in the same way that wanting is the beginning and the grounding of allowing. They're the same and they're different. I found paradoxical thinking easier to embrace, and I've been thinking about this. I can't really find the words, but I think it had to do when the paradox both amused me and didn't really challenge my way of being in the world. When I was just turning 50, I took a trip with a friend of mine to the hot spring coves off the coast of Tofino, British Columbia. And to get to the hot springs cove, you have to take a boat or a float plane. And we took a boat, and it means going through a bunch of islands. And then you have to there's a part where you have to go into the open ocean and then you come back into the islands, and then you're at the hot springs, and then you get out of the boat and you walk a mile on a cedar boardwalk to get to the hot springs. And so we were there, we were having a wonderful time. We were just really are enjoying ourselves. And I leaned back and I could see these dark, dark storm clouds come in. And I knew the potential danger that was, because this was in October, and the storms in October on the West Coast can be pretty bitter. Yet I wasn't the least bit worried. I lay back in the water and I thought, can I embrace conspiracy theory or disaster thinking and the benevolence of the universe at the same time? And I decided, yes, I could. So when time came that we had to go back to meet the boat, we got back there and it was raining hard and it was blowing. And we were in a 2-seater outboard. And even though it was really rough when we had to go into that ocean, open ocean, I never doubted our safety. Now that wasn't so true for my companion, who was terrified, but I had been able to embrace that paradox, and I just felt totally safe. When I first started in the science of mind, I found the paradoxical thinking a lot harder. When I was told, when I did my foundations class and I learned about oneness, I had all these examples about, but yes, well, what about this and what about that in the world? And look at this, these people are fighting and this doesn't get along. And when we talked about abundance, well, those yes buts went up exponentially, because I had so many examples. I knew that women and people of color and all sorts of other people didn't get paid enough. I knew that there was a lot of poverty, and it was like, okay, so how can you say there's abundance? And at the same time, I really wanted to believe that. So in that case, the paradoxical thinking was forcing me to move out of a way of thinking that I thought had been my reality, my anchor. And it took a while, but that's one of the things that paradoxical thinking can do. So Wayne Dyer in Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life suggests we notice an irritation with a situation or a person in your life. I'm sure everyone here either has one or can think of a recent one, an irritation. And then we PPG it, we practice the presence of God by being curious, turning inward, and finding out where we are on the continuum of desiring and allowing. Then permit the paradox of wanting the irritant to vanish and allowing it to be what it is. So we permit the paradox of wanting the irritant to vanish and allowing it to be what it is, all at the same time. So we go inward and we see how it shows up in your body and your thoughts. So I'm guessing that you can all think of an irritant in your life, either right now or in the recent past. So what I'm going to suggest is that we go into breakout rooms. And what I'd like you to address in the breakout rooms is, where am I on the continuum with this irritant in my life? And how does holding it as a paradox shift things for me? And I'll put those in the chat for you. So Peter, if you could set us up.
Okay. All righty. Here we go. Okay.
Well, welcome back, everyone. I'd like to offer the time to have a few shares about how that was to talk about understanding the continuum of desiring and allowing, or wanting and allowing, and how that worked if you have an irritant that you worked with in your life, how that's been working for you. Anyone willing to be brave?
Yeah, I can talk.
Okay.
For me, I think I was with Reverend Ikea and we just got warmed up to talk about, we went a little bit deeper, like we shared our experience, and then we
Yeah.
were able to go a little bit deeper to where it was going. And it actually brought up some things that I need to further process, and make sense of, because like you're saying, it's a continuum, and you're surrendering and allowing, and then, but it's almost like a stop go type of situation. At least that's what I'm, thinking about right now.
Mhm.
And I was talking about chronic pain, and because I have chronic pain, and it took me a very long time to be in chronic pain to even admit that I was in chronic pain.
Mhm.
And so, because, the idea is you turn away from the thing that you don't, that isn't perfect. Well, how do you know, wrap your brain around that? So anyway, that was the deepness that we went into, the juiciness. So I have a lot to think about. So thank you, Constance.
You're welcome.
Freya, that is you, Freya, right? Even though it says Kenneth.
Yes. I, it took doing this process. It took my partner reminding me to love myself in the middle of, I was the object of my frustration, and I hadn't really worked through it yet. So, I was lucky enough to have Reverend Sunshine reminding me about loving myself. And then I felt it. I mean, I got teary, and I could feel my heart opening up. And so I guess it starts with a feeling sometimes, and then it goes up to my head, and my head kind of rearranges itself to include whatever's doesn't seem right.
Right.
Going right. So
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. I think for me, that's one of the biggest changes I've seen in Science of Mind since I've been there is how much more we're really acknowledging the importance of our feelings in this whole process. That I mean, when Ernest Holmes wrote what he did, what he was writing was very revolutionary for the time. And because we're open at the top, we can incorporate things that have come to light more, so that feelings is much more part of our culture than it certainly was in the 40s and the 50s. So anyone else have anything they want to share?
If you raise your hand or use the raise hand thing, we'll recognize you. Or Megan.
Okay. So I was with Reverend Sally, and my irritant is I get to lovingly receive back my student loans this month with all of our public service loan forgiveness not applied. So, I don't know. I'm very frustrated. It feels a little like, I guess angry is not the word, but sometimes, yes, anger comes up because working on the front lines and being exposed to COVID and like everything, all the stress that you went through initially, and then, like, to now you're kind of like going through this process. It opens up a lot of anger because you serve the public in the way that you want to help people, but then it kind of is disingenuous because all of the promises and relief for nurses and all of these people are not so, like so there's frustration there, especially since I've been paying on these loans for over 10 years. But I'm trying to focus on the abundance and the good things in my life, and grateful that I can pay them. It is a burden, but I can pay them. I'm not in the category of people who can't pay them and will go bankrupt, but it does make it more challenging. And so some of the I guess the news, like how, you know, the promises and the Relief Act and everything that was supposed to support everyone, it feels like smoke screen, I guess, you know, political talking points. So that part is frustrating. But you know, like I said, just focus. I'm trying to be in the paradox of focusing on the good things in my life that are there, because they are there regardless of the student loans. And, you know, I wouldn't change my profession even though all of those things happen. But it is an irritant because I get tired of hearing the lies on TV and then it not actually happen in reality. But, you know, just after we were excused from the breakout rooms, I received a text from Sunny's boyfriend's mom. So her boyfriend is away at boot camp. And so he sent a letter to all of the family. So that was a nice reminder of, you know, the love and abundance in our lives with that extended family, because we haven't seen or heard from him over a month now. So Sonny will fly to Texas at the end of October for his graduation. So that was a nice like download, you know.
Right. Yeah, I think it can be a reminder about how even in the time when it feels things are really tough, that there is goodness in the world, you know. And in terms of that's something that's always been it has been in the past for me a real sticking point. And I've been taking an abundance class recently online. It's an older one with a guy named Lee Harris, and he has this whole little module. It's only about 10 minutes about debt and about how to really write about the gratitude for what the debt allowed you to do to balance it off. And I think you said that, Megan, about how you don't, you know, the debt has allowed you to serve people in a way that you couldn't have before. And to focus on that, and to have an affirmation of, you know, being debt free, and even though you can't see it. So the thing about this week's topic about embracing paradoxical thinking is that I thought that it would be useful to go back into small groups and have a little bit longer time and to discuss how paradoxical thinking is supporting you and where paradoxical thinking is challenging you. Because I think it does for all of us. You know, my experience is that the more just like Maureen, what you were saying, the more that you start to think about this and to really explore it, the deeper it can get and the more layers come off. So Peter, if you can put us back into breakout rooms for 10 minutes. And so you can go back in and talk about how is paradoxical thinking supporting you, and how is it challenging you?
Okay. See you in a little bit.
Time.
Who said not enough time?
Me, of course, the irritant. So this is rich stuff, Constance. I'm telling you ahead of time. Good work. Thank you.
So how has paradoxical thinking been supporting you? I'd like to hear a few
Reverend Sunshine, go ahead.
I figured I'd raise my hand first, even before she'd ask the question, because this is like some rich and juicy stuff. My talk is just grooving in here for Sunday, okay? But here's what I'll say, and we both agreed, Rev, Deb, and I, that, and it reminded me of an old affirmation that dropped down for me years and years ago, and that is, embrace the funk, right? So the grit, the grime, the whatever it is, you know, the more we push it away and don't like it and allow the swirl, the more it happens. You know, the further down the rabbit hole we go. And I have learned over my course in time is that when I learn to love it, when I learn to bless it, when I learn to embrace it, just like the oyster embraces the grit to create the pearl, that's where the gold is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Easier said than done, though.
Yeah. And I think going back to what that teacher told me so many years ago, that paradox is where God lives. Now we know that God lives everywhere, but I think that exactly what you just talked about, Reverend Sunshine, is the essence of what that statement is. And it's also like what you said last Sunday, that paradox allows that openness for the possibility to show up. So anyone else? Paul?
I'm going to go again to last Sunday's talk, Reverend Sunshine. Sherry and I were chatting, and one of the things I realized was the PPG is a life preserver. And in that moment, I recognized when I used the word life preserver, we all have an idea of what life preserver is. It's just a round thing that hangs on a boat. But in that moment, I recognized, wait a minute, the PPG is preserving my life. Woo, that gives me chills. I have a new understanding, a depth of understanding of what a life preserver really is. It's not just a thing that hangs on the boat that I save for an emergency, right? I can wear that all day long now and be safe wherever I go. But it's not, it's practicing the power of God, as well as choosing to practice the presence of good no matter what. And that's my life preserver. That's what gets me to balance that continuum. So I use it as a life preserver, and life preserver has a new meaning. The other piece to our discussion was the word perfect. I treat the word perfect from my is there such a thing as a pre-science of mind life? and perfect meant angel on a cloud for my Catholic upbringing, on a cloud striking a harp for eternity. I don't want to do that for eternity. So to me, perfect was an attainment item. But I've learned that perfect in another language, the origin language that some people used way back in Jesus's time, that perfect really meant all inclusive. All of a sudden, perfection is attainable to me because it includes my failure and my successes. It balances that. So just like I had the life preserver moment, now I can embrace perfection as something attainable because it includes the grit of it and the sweetness of it all at the same time. So thank you, Reverend Sunshine.
But Paul, you also said, don't pray the irritant away.
Oh, right. Well,
that was all part of the perfection piece you were talking about.
Do you want to talk about that a little
No.
bit? No.
It's your thoughts. I don't want to talk about your thoughts.
Okay. Well,
but you may not want to talk about it, so that's okay.
No, I just felt like the message for me from this paradoxical mindset is don't pray the irritant away. Embrace it, just like you said. PPG it. Grab your life preserver, whatever it is, to hold you in the space so that you can accept it and move on. Reverend Sunshine, I see you clapping, so I think I'm saying something right. But anyways, that's what I wanted to share. It's a big deal. I'm sweating, all right? But it was a big moment. Two great
It
breakout.
was huge moment, the ahas of
Yeah.
watching you. Whoa.
Thank you, Reverend Sunshine, for introducing this idea to us this month.
And thank you, Paul. And so it's now 7:53. So Paul, I think I will just, I know we could go on talking about this, but I'm just going to turn it back over to you and say thank you, everyone, for participating and being so honest and forthright about paradox.
It's, as I said to Reverend Sunshine today, as I told Sherry, and I hope I share with all of you how fortunate we are that we have a whole new, for me, this is a new frontier, a new way of thinking. Thank you so much for allowing me to share that with you guys. It makes Wednesday nights even more rich and special, but it wouldn't have been possible for us to explore, or for me to explore this new frontier without the leadership of Reverend Sunshine and you, Constance. What a brilliant
Yeah,
talk tonight. Everything.
thank you.
So yeah, so let's show our Constance a lot of love and everything, because Constance, it was brilliant. Thank you for taking me on this journey today. It was really, really fun.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So speaking of fun things, it's time for some announcements, and there's not too many, so even better, huh? Because each one is powerful and important in itself. So this Sunday, October 8th, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman will guide us in getting comfortable with the paradox. I think we've already started that, Reverend Sunshine, tonight, right? And she will guide us in getting comfortable with the paradox. Meditation at 10 and service at 10:30. Join us in the sanctuary, or you can watch us on the website through the YouTube. On Wednesday, October 11th, guest speaker Maud Wilson continues the discussion on getting comfortable with paradox. I'm going to deviate from the script because I met Maud at our parking lot party, and what a wonderful spirit and essence she is. So I'm so glad that she's appearing next Wednesday night. I get to be her host, and I'm encouraging you all to return next Wednesday night to meet Maud. You're going to just love her. She's just wonderful. Thank you, Reverend Sunshine, for getting her on the calendar. So meditation at 6:30 and the service is at 7. It's always in Zoom on Wednesday night. Let's see here. Our 2024 nonprofit partner applications are now open. You can download the application from the nonprofit page on our website under the About Us page, or pick one up on Sunday at the check-in desk. The deadline for applications is in 2 weeks, so Wednesday, October 18th. On Sunday, December 3rd, we're hosting a holiday craft fair in the social hall. If you'd like to share your creative gifts to sell, please fill out an application. Space is limited, so sign up soon. Paper applications are available on Sunday in the social hall, or check out the online application on the events page of the website. Please note that our bookstore will be closed this Sunday, October 8th, but it will reopen the following Sunday. As you may know, our administrative coordinator is retiring. That's our own Constance Chapman here today at the end of this year. If you know of anyone who you think would be interested in would be great in this position, please ask them to contact Reverend Sunshine. Okay, get ready, get your dancing shoes on, and be ready to jazz it up at our musical concert on Friday, November 17th. Look at all those faces. They'll be appearing. The performance lineup is fantastic. Tickets will be on sale soon. More to come. And looking at the next slide, you'll see our contact team. These wonderful souls support us in all these areas. I'm so grateful to have them in my life and in the life of the church. There's so much happening at the center: events, workshops, classes, and more. Please visit our website at oaklandcsl.org and sign up for our weekly newsletter, The Village News. Remember to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook for special updates and content you'll only find by liking and subscribing to the Oakland Center. Please like us and subscribe to Oakland Center today. With all of this gratitude tonight, and embracing everything on both ends of the scale of life, the one thing that I find is gratitude is the cradle of happiness. So I am grateful for all the gifts that we receive. So I want to take a minute and ask you to consider making a donation of your gift, whatever it may be, in time, treasure, or talent, and hold that gift close to your heart. And let's firmly affirm, divine love is me, blesses and multiplies this offering. It blesses all that I am, all that I give, and all that I circulate. Thank you, love as me. As I release this gift into our spiritual basket. And you can do that if you're so inclined by using the donate icon on our website's homepage if you'd like to submit an offering tonight. Once there, you'll see the 5 ways to give via the donate icon: credit card, mail, Zelle, text, and even our offering basket in person at Sunday service. So I have some thank yous real quick. First of all, thanks to Constance for talking tonight and opening us up, really opening us up, not also at the top, but in our heart with her message. Please tell your friends to come and listen to tonight's service. It was really beautiful, Constance. So thank you. I want to thank Maureen French for opening us up in prayer, Practitioner Maureen French. I also like to recognize some ministerial support we have on deck tonight. Reverend Deb Hammond, Savannah, Georgia. I think she's the winner again for Long Distance Award. God bless you. When you arrive in Oakland, your pockets are full of long distance awards. I want to recognize my partner on hosting, Reverend Sally Bartholomew, who's also here tonight. Thank you, Sally. You got to consume and participate. And of course, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman. Thank you, Reverend Sunshine, for all that you do for us. I am so grateful. We're all grateful. I want to thank our Zoom team, Peter up in Portland, taking care of business behind the scenes, Alice Herndon and Alice Knudsen. I'm mixing your last name. Oh, Reverend Ikea is here too. Thank you, Reverend Ikea, for being here. Thank you for the reminder. Any other ministers before I close? Chat them to me real fast. Thank you all. And Alice Herndon and Alice Knudsen, I almost combined your last name and said Hernston. So there you go. Watch out. I may have just created something new. Thank you, ladies. And of course, Constance, all of the work that you do in the background. So with all of that in mind, it's time for our closing prayer as we start all events. Constance, I believe you're doing our closing prayer tonight. Would you take us out of prayer?
Yes, I'll be glad to. So I just want to stay in this this energy of gratitude that has been so lovingly expressed by Paul and by a number of other people. That because what we know is that there is only God. There is only that one energy. There's only that one heart. There's only that one mind. And just breathe that in. Just breathe it in. There is only that one God. That one God that holds everything. It holds all the paradox. It holds all the appearances. It holds the 10,000 things. It holds the manifestations. It holds it all and holds it all in love. And so I'm just so very grateful for this time we've had together. I am so grateful for this evening of blessings, this evening of deep appreciation, this evening of deep insight. And I'm so grateful for everyone who showed up. I am so grateful for everyone who shared their hearts, who opened their hearts. And I just know that everyone is, has a beautiful evening, the rest of the evening after we leave the Zoom call. I assume everyone's already at home. You don't have to go anywhere except maybe to another room and do that safely. And I know that this is a beautiful night and a beautiful day. And so please join me in saying, and so it is.
And so it is.
Oh, it is. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
All right, well,
All right,
Good night,
night,
everyone.
night.